Hello there, and this week is going to look a little bit different. No, it won't be a podcast with just Tom without Dan, but actually we'll be looking at the highlights from the first 5 episodes. So check it out and look out for some extra edits that I've thrown in this week. And catch you soon. That is, don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop.
Welcome to Don't Be a Doorstop. So the reason why I've called it Don't Be a Doorstop is, Tom and I basically, this is going to be a documented journey of planning a podcast, and that is the podcast. We're going to just plan what we're going to do. So both of us as kind of digital people, we also have some opinions that we want to share and get out because they're eating us inside, in the sense of we've started to craft some things that we've seen, and we want to share insights and input to other people's lives through the medium of podcast. And the reason why I called it Don't Be a Doorstop is because I've always thought of the analogy that, if you take a hammer, for example, a hammer will make a great doorstop, but that's not its ideal purpose. Its ideal purpose is to hammer nails. A doorstop, an actual doorstop, is the best type of doorstop. So sometimes in life, we find ourselves as hammers becoming doorstops, aka fitting into something and doing well with something, but it's not the fully fledged. It's not the fully fledged best or the most optimum setup from a purpose perspective. So for the time being, we're going to call it Don't Be a Doorstop, which hopefully is kind of funny as well. It's kind of in line with the kind of names that I like coming up with. I was telling Tom once that I wanted to come up with a coffee shop and call it Big Mug, because I think that's a funny name. And we would sell big mugs, or like you would have it in a big mug and we'd sell it big mugs. So you heard it here
just
first.
imagining someone carrying this two-hander mug down the street from the coffee shop.
Yeah, that's the best kind of branding, right? In the same way that Starbucks has its mugs and people buy its mugs. I mean, even now we're not sponsored, but even like this Wales mug is a Starbucks mug. I'm like, if we could have some dragon on it with whales and then say Big Mug, but sometimes I think people might be offended that it's called Big Mug because it's kind of laughing at yourself, but I think that's fine. If you laugh at yourself, yeah. I would be happy to have like this Big Mug thing because it would get people talking, right? So
yeah. I feel like we might need to create a second podcast of Be a Doorstop for everyone that's found their purpose in being a doorstop for many people.
Yeah, it's
for anyone that's searching the word doorstop because they actually are one, we need to create a second podcast for all that sieving into that realm.
Yeah, this is for the people that are currently not where you really want to be. You listen to this one, but then for the people that are really where they want to be, you listen to the next one. But hopefully we can kind of blend in the new thing, and maybe season 1. It'd be great if we called season 1 is like Don't Be a Doorstop, and we talk about like how do you stop being a doorstop, and kind of talk about that. And then season 2 would be like how to be a great doorstop. The ultimate guide. This is like the SEO way, the ultimate guide to being a doorstop. That would be the funny thing, because again, it's kind of podcast culture. As and when we build, more than 2 followers, we then have this funny joke that, oh, did you listen to season 1? Because they were talking about Don't Be a Doorstop, and we like reward people for listening, because we talk about like little in jokes and stuff. Yeah,
so, exactly. Building our bank of in jokes.
Oh, definitely. But what kind of questions can you ask yourself? Like, how do you figure out if you are a doorstop?
I think it's, I guess, what do you listen to? So some people listen to their mind, and some people listen to their gut, and some people listen to their heart. And I think a lot of the time, being a good doorstop is wholeness with all elements. And I think it is one of those things that you'll go through seasons that your mind might feel stressed or feel like it's not in the right place, or your gut might feel like there's an instinct of something, like you might be feeling like you're about to be made redundant in a job, so it's putting you on edge. And I think it is having that peace all around you that you have to seek out, because a new season might be you're in a new house, or you're in a new job, or you just got married, or you've just been divorced, or you've just had a kid, or you just lost a kid, would always trigger the, do you feel safe at home? Do you feel safe in your job? Right? Do you feel good at your job? Do you have that purpose
Yeah.
in your workplace and in your hobbies, or do you just want it in your workplace and not your hobbies?
100%. And let's delve deeper. What does it mean to have peace? What does that actually mean? Like, explain it without using the word peace. Oh, you've muted yourself. You've tapped the mute on the microphone. There you go.
I was just saying you need to explain Kimmer and the background a bit before going into what you're about to go into, but I've already forgotten what you were going to talk about now.
Right. I don't remember either. We'll comment down below to remind us next time. What did we forget in our podcast?
Or in 5 years' time.
Yeah, like when you watch this in 10 years' time, tweet us to be like, hey, you forgot to mention this in your chat in your first episode that you put together.
Yeah.
So what's your elevator pitch? Not elevator pitch, but
I would prefer to hold off that information.
Come for round 2. Yeah, come for episode 2 to figure out who this person is. You know his name's Tom.
We're just showing off the ankles at the moment. We can't go up to the knees just yet.
So this is ankle talk. You know what will happen? Yeah. So as you may know...
What I was thinking as well, when you were saying, we work with Google and Ford, I feel like we need like some bootleg companies, like Google or something that sounds very similar, but it's completely different. Maybe we need to build other businesses that sound like businesses and hope we don't get...
Yeah, just one spelling mistake. I mean, I think they always...
Yeah, the dyslexic version of all of them.
they always say that Google, like some people type in 3 O's or whatever, and they've bought those domains, so then they can actually get to... Google, like the misspelling of Google is bought by someone like, hey, it looks like you wanted to go to Google, and that is the web page, which is a funny thing as well. But so stay tuned for episode 2 if and when that happens. No, more so when it happens.
If and when.
But until
it's
then,
all about mindset. Don't quit. But if it when happens, see you soon.
Yeah, we should also talk about grit as well, which is another factor. So this podcast is going to be literally with no order or anything. Over time, hopefully we'll add this order in and make it a little bit more streamlined. But yeah, if you have any particular takes or particular topics that you'd like us to speak about, as you know, we've already spoken a lot about, purpose, psychology, love languages and stuff. So, and making money and jobs and all that stuff. So hopefully it'll get better over time. So what's our tagline going to be? Stay classy, San Diego. No, maybe our tagline should be don't be a doorstop. But then I'm worried that the hammer part is the integral part to the don't be a doorstop bit. Hey, hammer
time.
Oh yeah, hammer time.
Hammer time.
Hammer
it's
time.
time for hammer.
Hello, so I guess we're back and recording to kick us off.
You know what they should do is because obviously we're not editing this. It's one of those things where you have to like say why you should be watching. So we should be like, what, you made £1 million? Keep listening to find out how. So then, you don't have that drop off of people watching in the first few seconds.
Become more pro now. Got a ring light.
This is what sponsorship does, eh?
Right, I guess we should probably do an intro. So what's the program we're doing again?
Don't be a doorstop.
Don't be a doorstop.
5 hours later.
I have started
Dead air.
looking dead air. Elgato? Is it Elgato? The streaming people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they've got a Stream Deck mobile app that you could trial for a month. So I thought I'd give that a go, which is basically quick speeds to jump to new things. So
and
we're switching topic by talking about technology. It's a week of, okay, let's put this into practice of what my coaches suggested or said or bounced back to me. But to be fair, the coach that I was with, she was so impressed with how much I was trialing something, seeing if it worked, dropped it if it didn't, trial something else. Apparently she's never come across someone like me that was trialing so much within a week. And actually, she was writing some notes of some quotes that I was saying to her.
You were
randomly.
coaching the coach.
Yeah. That's another podcast for another time.
I literally flashed back to doing exactly the same task of like, yeah, you literally stood over a bin to sharpen your pencil and then you go back to your desk. Like, how crazy is the fact that
and then you
used to happen?
snap another pencil to go back.
It's one of those, right?
I feel like there should be a podcast of us just sharpening pencils for half an hour.
There's probably a version where you just do it really soft. and just sharpen this pencil really quietly. It's kind of one of those things where the teacher says, right, there's a new maths test, and you're like, time to sharpen the pencils. What was our final tagline to wrap us out?
Dead air.
Hammer it. No, what was it? What did we say?
Nail it.
Nail it. Nail it.
Nailers.
So you finally come back for episode 3, or this might be your episode 1. So if this is your episode 1, then welcome, and if it's your episode 3, then welcome back. How do you know that this thing is the way you should go? And I was talking about, like, other people sometimes will say something and they've not even been told about the situation. They'll say something that kind of aligns quite nicely to what you're trying to do. I would also say that sometimes you'll listen to podcasts and something in the podcast will jump out. And by jump out, it will sound like that particular word or those phrases have been louder. Blow your eardrums in. Will be louder, but it's not louder. It's just like you've heard it with more focus than everything else that they spoke about. Like even 2 nights ago, Kimmer was kind of thinking about a situation and she put the TV on. A particular guy was preaching called T.D. Jakes. And he, line for line, word for word, explained exactly what was going on and the benefits of X, and this is what you're thinking, and this, and kind of gave, like, basically the answer to the question that she had. And it's funny because I heard it at the exact same time. And that recording was done 11th of August, 2022, like a couple of months back. So it's just, it doesn't always have to be a person. It might be that you've listened to the radio and something's come out, or you've watched a TV program and something's come out, or a podcast. Or
Dach chi wedi cael digon ar wneud yr un swydd dro ar ôl tro, bob dydd, bob blwyddyn. Dach chi'n edrych am sialens newydd. Cerwch I weld jobin.cymru am swyddi newydd yng Nghymru.
So you know what's just happened? I've basically lost my Monzo card as well. So for those of you that have just joined us, I am actually in Bali right now. And we were in Singapore, and then we moved to Bali. And basically it's now, it's like gone midnight. Oh, well, it's 12:30. And basically we spent a whole day in this like restaurant because it's got Wi-Fi and stuff, and I was working, and then it was like, cool, now it's time to leave. Went outside to the reception area, trying to use the app Grab, because Grab is the Uber out here, and basically it won't accept any of my cards. So I'm signed up to use my card, but it says no, we can't do this payment. So I added a bunch of different cards, it didn't work. So then I was like, cool, I'm gonna have to use cash. So I go and speak to the receptionist, and basically the receptionist is like, yeah, sure, I can drive you over to a cash machine. You can get cash out. I'll drive you back, and then you can get in the cab. So go in this buggy, this golf cart, but like a 6-person golf cart. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. So we drive like 2 minutes down the road to this single room where there's a single cash point in it. So I put my card in, obviously get the money out. And I think sometimes the combination, or like the order, is different. Sometimes your card comes out first, then your cash comes out. Other places, your cash comes out, then your card comes out. Now, I think because he was waiting in my getaway vehicle, which is this golf buggy cart thing, and I'm like, got to get home. I don't want Kimmy to get cold while she's waiting, kind of thing, in this reception, although it's pretty humid here anyway. And I get my cash, I get the receipt, and I just get in the golf cart. So then I'm like, cool, driving back this 2-minute drive, and I'm like, I should tip this guy for doing this, because this was really helpful of him, because this is not our hotel, but he wouldn't know this kind of thing. And then got back, and I tip him. He's like, oh, thanks, man. And then I literally walk off back to Kimmer. And then I'm like, right, cool, I've got cash now, so I'll book the taxi. Book the taxi. And then I'm like, hang on, where's my Monzo card gone? Where is it? I'm like, did I? So I'm like, I don't have it on me. I walked over, I looked where I tipped him, because I was like, oh, maybe it's spilled out when I did it then or something. And then I was like, oh, I've lost it. I need to go back to the cash money. So while my taxi's on its way, I went back to the same guy. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I think I've left my card in the machine. And he was like, it's probably going to swallow it, because machines after 3 minutes or whatever, if you don't take it, it swallows it, right? So I was like, cool. Really sorry that you're going to have to take me back. So he basically then, back in the golf cart, drives to the cash point. He then says to the local guy, like, oh, this guy's left his card or whatever, but in the local dialect kind of thing. So I didn't understand what he said. So I then walk in, check, it's not there. So I'm like, cool,
freeze the card. So annoyingly, usually pretty good.
Coming
at
in
stuff,
hot, are
right?
you?
So, yeah, I'm coming in hot. Coming in hot with the fact that I lost my Monza card. So,
But
100%.
moral of the story: you can lose your Monzo card anywhere.
Yeah. And on that note, I've got to jump to another call. So keep hammering, but don't lose your Monzo cards. I can't even speak either. It's too late. So, till next time, stay classy. Keep hammering.
I just feel like it's a massive countdown with that 5, 4, 3,
Yeah,
2,
we should need to go
1.
like a
And
gun.
I feel like my mind goes blank instantly once it's hit record, which is always useful.
I remember one time I went into Weatherspoons. This is like way back when I came back from university. And basically I was waiting at the bar to order. And I'm a drummer, so I fidget a little. And I was just flicking this £10 note, right? And it's busy. I'm not like, oh, give me a drink. Kind of like, I'm not like craving. I'm just flicking this £10 note because I'm like a bit, I'm just tapping and stuff. Anyway, I start to see these people like look at me, but like carry on working. And I'm like, this is a bit weird. Like they're kind of like looking a bit weird and they're kind of like back chatting a little. And then the manager comes over and is like, not serving you. And I'm like, what? You were in here the other day causing trouble. And I was like, what? I've literally just come from university. This is my first night. Like, how? And he was like, yeah, because you were with him. And he basically pointed to John, like John sat stood next to me. And I was like, what? Me and him have literally just seen him tonight. Like, we've not been out at all. So I was like, when there's like this public outrage, I was outraged at the fact that you thought I was this troublemaker. But I think it was probably, he made a lie. And maybe I was like flicking this £10 note thinking that, he's like basically causing a fuss or something. Yeah. In the end, I basically was like, that's crazy. Like, let me speak to the manager or whatever. I think I managed to speak to somebody else, or maybe that wasn't the manager. And I did speak to the manager. And I was like, look, me and him have not been here. So like, you can't not serve us. Like we've not been here. This is the first night. You must be someone else. So then the guy was like, all right, maybe you're someone else. But if it happens again, I'm not serving you. I'm like, happens again? I wasn't even the first guy that it happened with. So it's just like, classic. So then it became just a funny story. But yeah, so in that Weatherspoons, there's a photo of me being like, do you know this guy? But there's obviously somebody that looks like me in North Wales, in Llandudno, in North Wales, that kind of looks like me, or someone that doesn't look like me that was flicking a £10 note, and it's like, oh, it's him, but he's just shaving this time. Also, I don't know. But yeah, I think sometimes.
And she's like, okay, we'll let you go. It's the classic, well, we'll let you go this time, as if they're giving me the obligation where it's like, bitch, please, like, you've walked into my space and wasted my time, and now you're having to go at me as if I'm wasting your time.
So the message is, when somebody, I would say the message is, when someone confronts you, always have a Bible. Always have a Bible to be like, I was reading my Bible, sir.
Always have a plan B. The Bible.
Yeah. Basically, when somebody comes, it kind of reminds me, like, nothing shuts a conversation down like mentioning the Bible, right? So that'll get you
religion and politics.
Yeah, religion will shut a conversation. I would say politics, someone would go with you on that one, but religion might be a bit too much, right?
Definitely had a young face. I'm guessing like maybe 16, 17, but he could have had
a 16-year-old that's taller than 6'1", like a thin, lanky 6'2",
or he looked really young, and maybe he was like 19 to 21 mark direction. I couldn't quite tell.
Because what year was this? You would have been 19, right? Year 2.
So this was after university, so I would have been like
right. Okay,
20,
so 21.
21-ish direction. So he was definitely younger than me. And it was him, and then there's this little kid to the right of him, because they basically walked straight in front of us as we were just walking through the town, through the city of Nottingham, and a gang behind this bigger kid or whatever. And it's basically the younger kid was like, that was the guy that threatened to beat me up the other day. I'm like, what? Like, who the hell are you? Like, this random kid is saying to his brother right next to me, as me and Tony are there going, I don't know who you are. And we just basically carried on walking. And they came back in our faces. And we were like, I don't have a clue who you're talking about. And I remember the adrenaline, because I was like, okay, first time, I'll notch it off. But the adrenaline kicking off of like, if this kicks off,
and it's a full on like fisticuff fight, like get my hands ready. Like I have no idea if they've got if they've got weapons or anything. So it's like I'm ready for, like, I've got adrenaline to run, or I've got adrenaline to fight, and I don't know what's going to happen next. And then it fizzed out, and they're going, woo, and then you get that massive adrenaline dump of like, in a weird way, even though you never want to get in a fight, the only time that you always wish you had a fight is when you had that adrenaline dump, and you're like, oh, that was a bit of a waste, wasn't it? I wish I at least used it on something.
Yeah, a waste of hype.
Have you ever seen Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Charlie and Mac beat up a bunch of kids? It's one of the most funniest
because they stole their bikes or something, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it was very melodramatic in the way that they were doing it. Seriously.
But yeah,
So anyway, violence is nowhere near our thing. So we usually just joke about stuff. So I go, whoosh. Anyway, for some random reason, I do not know why, and it's two guys, right? A small guy and a big guy. Some random reason, I turn around. I don't know why. I think it's probably because I was like, I don't want to be punched in the back of the head, because people can die from being punched in the back of the head, right? So I turn around, and it's this like potato shop, right? And I look around, and he's got like grills, like proper grills, and he's like, "You what?" Like, and he starts walking towards me, and then basically I start walking towards him. And I have no idea why I'm walking towards him, because I'm literally saying, "Nah, mate, wasn't you? Wasn't anything to do with you? Wasn't anything to do with you?" And then I'm still walking towards him. I don't know what you're doing this way. I think you're just behind me, right? I'm not sure if you're walking towards me, but I'm walking towards him.
I think I did walk with you, because I was thinking,
oh yeah,
if we're about to get in a fight, I can't be a couple of meters behind, otherwise it'll be too late.
Then I realized I was there was this corner of a wall, so I'm walking towards him, and I'm closing off my like runoff spot, because I'm walking towards him, I'm getting close to him, he can catch me, and also there's this wall here, so he can push me into this wall, right? So then I'm like, "Nah, mate, it's not about you," and I turn away and just like walk off, and then we walk off. It was so funny, the fact that, like, you know, people do that to irritate people, right? Just to get someone to like to. I wasn't. It was just funny that he like walked straight across us, kind of thing, like knowing that we're walking out. So, and obviously we're much smaller than he was, so just thought it was funny. But I thought it was funny that I was willing to, basically unknowingly so, walking back towards him, be like, "Nah, mate, it's not you, it's not you." Kind of.
Let's talk about fight stories. Like, we hardly ever in fights, but these are all the fight stories in our lives.
You know what? Let's be honest. Nobody watches this anyway. You know what we should do is like, right, stuff the whole. If you listen to last week and we said, "Oh, comment if you," and we'll pick the best comment and you'll get free consulting. Stuff that. Write your best fight stories, or not even fight stories. Like when you were gonna get in a fight. So not even a fight story, just like the pre-fight fight story or pre-fight story.
Yeah, or the mental fight that goes on in your head during a
we're talking about mental fights here. So the message, we've always got to tie back to the message, otherwise it'll be weird why we call it dumping. The message there is basically, don't be afraid to defend yourself, but know when
with a hammer.
Like,
I'm just imagining you with two hammers now, just beating someone up.
Like, no, it wasn't you, mate. This is throwing these hammers. It's kind of like know when to like stand up for yourself within reason, but then know when to back up. So it's just like be aware of your surroundings, guy. He's like, "Shut up, crime." Yeah, that's it. That's his tagline. "Shut up, crime." That's what he says. People, right? As soon as they're about to get in a fight, they pull off the top. I have no idea why, but they have this. Either they've had a hot flash, or they're like, "Don't want to get blood on this designer t-shirt," or whatever. They full on rip it off, or not rip it off. They full on pull it off, and then they're like, and a lot of the time,
or they know they're fighting a homophobe that doesn't want to punch a naked body.
I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. So it's just like one of those weird things. I remember someone actually that I used to know. Basically, whenever because he was a tall guy, whenever he used to get like started on, he basically used to kiss them. And that would basically defuse the situation. It somehow worked for him or whatever.
I remember a guy busking with a guitar, and someone started on him as we were literally passing him, and starting with him with a bike seat, about to go into a fight.
Yes.
And the guy grabbed the handle ready to use his guitar to go into a fight. And you were like, yeah, let's go this way. Oh, look over there, Mum and Dad.
Yeah, I remember that. Again, it's like, it's the funny story of like, whenever you like show someone around, something crazy ends up happening, doesn't it? So, and it's about like protecting.
Good note to leave on
a little bit. Yeah. So basically, heighten your awareness and be wise about what you do. And video people. Yeah, I was going to say bring the hammer.
Video people. Video topless guys.
Yeah. Video topless guy. I'm like,
Cut that,
I'm
cut
going to send
that.
this to the police. Yeah, cut that.